Habonra a short duration discussion. Hakabai de Kaipot to expert committee, Halog reservation policy, Hakasniba Praga Dorbar Mangtanka, Jongayang Dorbar Tawan Jela Meghalaya, Haka absent rek Rumpanga Japan Rio. Lumbaga Rule 50 Jonga Rules of Procedure and Conduct of Business, Uba Arden Mila Basaimoid, Emily Nongkrem, Luangbak Sorkar Jela, Kamde Ban Hun, Ban Pene Kumju reservation policy, Kumbla Ajingmut, Daga expert committee. Daga Bapunpa, Bunsin Ka An Ktah Iki policy, Uba Arden La Punpao, Bukan Omdan Jingwit, Ban Ibha Saupunyo percent, Chiki Khasi-Jaiñtia category, but Omde Ban Ktah Ikabaha Garo category, Kabalong Saupo percent. Long Bhah Kapor Bubat Kum President of Federation of Khasi-Jaiñtia and Garo people, Lakanya U, Bo Paukmat Namutaki Karo, Henry Budawa Pangkalai Reservation policy, Kum President of Voice of the People Party Part, Lakano Bo Persha Iki Karo. Shushu Laong Baka Sorkar Jala, Kamde Ban Pentreka make roster system, Hag reservation policy de Bapaidian, but Kuntuk Sorkar Ban Shong Perkat, Namar Kaipot expert committee, Kamlong Kumbal Kabi Linti.
I would profusely thank you for giving me this opportunity and allowing to raise this issue, which is very sensitive in nature. So, as I stand here today to speak about the report of the expert committee on the state reservation policy, state of Meghalaya. So, I feel that I need to remind this August House that though we are discussing a very sensitive issue, we are doing it with a great sense of responsibility. And again, I would like to remind this August House that when we asked we asked the government to review, we were not asking, to take away the rights of our Garo brothers and sisters. However, we are here to present the fact before the government and the need to review this policy. I don't want to many questions that may be drawn from the report. However, I want to move forward and place some submissions before the government so that we will understand why we raised this issue. So, on behalf of the people and on behalf of the voice of the people, sir, we know that the people of Khasi-Jaiñtia region are not accepting this recommendation, and indeed they were in great shock to see that the recommendation is to maintain the policy of 1972. So, and one of the main reasons that this recommendation made in this report is that there is an apprehension that if we review or change this policy, it might fail the judicial scrutiny. So, sir, this is a legislature where laws are made in the legislative assembly. And in many cases, we have come across that judicial will hardly interfere with the policy matters of the government. However, sir, I would like to go to the original reservation policy adopted in 1972. When you read this Para 1 and Para 2, you can, if you read between the lines, you can understand the minds of the leaders who framed this policy. So, in Para 1, in pursuance of Clause 4 of Article 16 of the Constitution of India, and keeping in view the inadequacy of representation of these communities, meaning the Khasis and the Garos, in the services under the autonomous state of Meghalaya in terms of their population, that consistently with the maintenance of efficiency efficiency, which means that we cannot compromise the efficiency in the administration. The following reservation shall be made in favor of the scheduled tribes and scheduled castes. And if you go to para 1.2, if sufficient number of suitable candidates for filling up the reserved vacancies is not available from the respective classes in any particular year, then such vacancies will be available to others, but the deficiency will be carried forward to the next recruitment year and made good in the recruitment of that year, provided that the reservation policy on account of the deficiency shall not be carried forward for more than 1 year. So if this remains, there is no problem, sir. But in the wake and in the backdrop of the decision of the court that we need to have a roster system, that is where the problem starts. You see, if we go by the roster system, which I strongly believe that those leaders, they didn't have a roster system so that they will make this policy flexible. You know, in the sense that as brothers, to maintain the brotherhood among these two, between these two committees, in respect of implementing these policies. I can read that when I read this policy, when I try to read between the lines. So, as it is, we know that our Garo brothers cannot compete with us. But it was mentioned here clearly that not more than 1 year can be carried forward in case of deficiency. So, sir, in fact, we would expect, because as I've said, we are not going to take away the rights of our Garo brothers, that from that 40 to reduce to 30 or 35. At least we expect that this recommendation should give a recommendation to the government to increase for the Khasi community 47. That will come under 50. So we are anticipating that if we give 47 to the Khasis and keep the 40% to Garo, the court might interfere. So it is an open secret. This matter has been raised in the court, and the court did not question the policy. The court questioned the absence of a roster in implementing the policy. So, sir, should we wait for the court to decide? And now this matter has been become public. Who knows that maybe one or the other will approach the court even for the existing policy. And going by the observation of the courts in many and various cases where some people are being employed under the wrong policy. So the court does not only squash the policy, it affected those also who are employed through the wrong policy or a bad policy or an illegal policy. What will happen in that case? If the court intervene, as we hypothetically mentioned, what will happen to those who have been recruited under this current policy? So, sir, therefore, I feel that the government should move one step forward. We should not fight shy or try to hide that the numbers of educated youths among the Khasis are huge, sir. So the pressure on our youths is so huge. So if the government decides to increase 7% from the existing, that will, will give, I'm not saying 100% satisfaction, but at least it will ease the situation. I've been traveling Garo Hills extensively. And when I meet many people there, I frankly told them that, you see, we are not going to take away our rights. We believe in God's principle, in justice. So when we say justice, we mean to say just and fair. So, sir, therefore, though the recommendation made a mention that population should not be the only factor, however, sir, I feel that we cannot write off the significance of the population structure, because it will only affect the spirit. Because our leaders, they brought this policy in order to make sure that in terms of population, we should not underrepresent. So when we compare the population between the Garos and the Khasis, we are almost double than the population of our Garo and brothers and sisters. So which is why, sir, I feel that let us together take a decision and let us, cross the bridge when we come to it. Let us not decide now that we will not be able to review. Let us take a bold decision. Let us raise 47% to the Khasis community. And let us not touch the 40% of the Garo community. In that way, I'm sure, sir, even our Garo brothers, they will accept it. Because there is, when I discussed with them, they told me, no, sir, we are a little bit apprehensive. Maybe if there is a change in the policy, they might take away or they might reduce from that quota which is meant for us. So, sir, I think if the government is judiciously exercises mind, as I've said, I don't want to question about the nature of the recommendation. I don't want to question because I'm not here to criticize. In fact, this is a serious matter. I don't want that this issue will become an issue between Garo or Khasis. What an irony is that when I was the president of the Federation of Garo and Jaintia people, I was branded here as a leader who is pro-Garo. And now when I'm the president of the Voice of the People, they are saying that, oh, he is anti-Garo. You see, I am as I am today, and I don't have any hatred against anyone. But I understand the pressure of our youth, the pressure as far as employment is concerned. So, sir, therefore, I would like to request the government that let us increase, because we should not wait for someone or for the court to decide the future of our youths. If we can increase, then this government will be remembered by the youths of the state that yes, it has taken a bold decision where no government in the past has the courage to do it. So, and pending this, the change in the ratio of proportion, I would strongly urge the government not, to implement the policy or the roster retrospectively. The government should not implement the roster system retrospectively. This is a very clear message that I would like to convey through you, sir, to the government. And, sir, as I've said, in fact, it was not expected that the government will sit for 8 months on the simple recommendation that the policy will remain or will retain the 1972 policy. Sir, we really expect that the government will share its concern, its sentiments with the local youths, the Khasis who are here, who are being, unnecessarily undergo through many tremendous pressure in the wake of this roster system, which is mandatory for the state to implement the roster system. So, sir, as I've said, I still expect, though the report is not as we expect, but I still hope that goodwill will prevail in this House, and I sincerely hope that the government under the leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister will seriously sit and let us not conclude that we will retain this 1972 policy. So with these few words, sir,
Hakani ke cingi tai uba Adelbert nongrom MLA na North Shillong lo shim tabiang but ong bak cintmu kamdai ban penipher cai benrio pri Khasi-Jaiñtia bat ki Garo. Long bak resolution ka kandai Spanya far hi kadai ke penipher cai benrio but kumta haban pengkala nomor ke jing angnur kalau mengkentiu lang ya ke jala hi borok kawai.
Seen that there is a contradictory which have submitted by the expert through the government. Sir, I would like to continue as what I have observed, that as many as 442 representations considered by the expert committee were not persons whose identity was established, but rather were faceless submission made only on paper or email. So, I would also like to put a third question so that I can get a satisfaction when the Honorable Chief Minister reply on this very subject which has been raised, as it is a gravity of situation which allow us to take this issue forward. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to refer to the recommendation number 1 in the report of expert committee, which says, and I quote from part 4, volume 19 at page 4110. This is part 4, volume 19, page 4110. That reservation should not solely be based on the population proportion of a tribe or caste. Now, we all know that resolution number PER, in bracket DOT, 222, in bracket /71, in bracket /138, dated 12 January 1972, which is the principal document in the state reservation policy, has conveyed the decision of the government at that time to make reservation in favor of the scheduled tribes and scheduled castes. And I quote from the 1972 resolution, keeping in view the inadequacy of representation of these communities in the services under the autonomous state of Meghalaya in terms of their population. Let me repeat this important phrase, in terms of their population. It is thus clear to everyone who reads the opening, who read the opening paragraphs of the 1972 resolution, that the reservation so decided was based on population. And in the context of today's enlightened understanding of affirmative action by the state, that reservation benefits should reach the most socially backward and economically disadvantaged section of society. The 1972 resolution is therefore totally outdated and need to be revamped. Now my question, Mr. Speaker, sir, is this: if the expert committee is of the views in its recommendation number 1 that reservation should not solely be based on the population proportion of a tribe or caste, then why has it in recommendation number 13 indicated, and I quote from part 4, volume 19 at page 4117 of the report, that the committee recommends retaining the 1972 reservation policy as it stands, and further in the same paragraph indicated that the committee also finds no compelling reason to modify the policy at this time. Is it not this a big contradiction in the report of the expert committee? Does not one recommendation clash with another? My last submission, Mr. Speaker, sir, let it be very clear. Some may say that I am or someone maybe we are communal. We are not communal, sir. This very resolution, 1972, it is communal. We are not communal, sir. We are not communal. We are being taught to love, not to hate. And this very subject which we had been brought from time to time in this August House is not that we want to pull one community or to lift up one community, but we want to see the light of the day that this very state should lift up. So, with these 3 questions on same key aspect of the report of the expert committee, and I share them for honorable members of this August House to consider through you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I also request the government to kindly give a detailed reply to the 3 questions I have raised in this 0 hours.
Unang ilam galang persya hagayang darbar, Dr. Mukul Sangma, Emelina Songsak, loong bakani kadai gamat ke Ktah Bhah, bakadongkam ke Jingitir, hakisau kunro.
It has been not only my effort, but it was the collective effort of successive governments. Now, for whatever reasons, somehow this matter has, I think sequely, if we look at the genesis of the current discussion, is because of the Honorable Court, the judiciary taking, so much cognizance of one very important aspect of the provision in the policy itself, and also the provision which provided that space to be incorporated in the policy based on the mandate of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, sir, why I have said that this particular issue be discussed outside the House at a level which can actually confine our discussion and debate within the 4 walls was because of the way we need to think as lawmakers. Because there are certain provisions in the Constitution, the mandate of which we utilize for making laws. In certain cases, it's a very, very tight rope walking exercise. I, Mr. Speaker, sir, would like to place on record my sincere gratitude and thanks to our forefathers who have definitely done their tightrope walking together after the creation of this beautiful state of ours, which we have inherited. And the policy itself indicates the sense of oneness of our leaders at that point of time. Because at that point of time also, if we go by the statistics, the similar statistics existed. Therefore, the reflection of the kind of prevailing mindset and the thought process of our leaders of that time, I think we must understand the wisdom which guided them to come together. And with that sense of oneness, 3 important sisters from the same family, the Khasi, the Jaintias, the Garos. And they did not even forget other tribals. And the space again for all those meritorious from amongst our communities and also other people who belong to other communities, that 15% open category in order of merit. Now, if we go by data and statistics, then it will not end. But the spirit of that collective and unanimous decision, which has given us this very powerful legislative mandate to ensure that our own children are in a position to be part of the system which is vested on the state. The employees of government departments are the people who utilize the repository of state power in the best interest of the people and the state as a whole. Today we have come a long way, Mr. Speaker, sir. Very, very long way. Yes, even when we were confronted with this demand for a number of times, it's not just once, as I have said, too frequent. But then I think we also have to look at certain aspects as a lawmaker. As a lawmaker, as I have said, tightrope walking is a difficult proposition always. When we talk about this provision of Article 16, Clause 4, and the other provisions which are part of the Article 16, Clause 4, Clause 4b in our case, 4b. Now here, precisely because of this provision of the Constitution, only we can understand as lawmakers, with the possible interpretation of the various provisions of the Constitution thereof, that the judiciary has taken cognizance of certain policy decisions, certain implementation of this policy. But there's a big but. Now, before I go to this big but, this particular clause under Article 16 of the Constitution of India should be read along with other clause. The clause 1, clause 2, it cannot be read and interpreted in isolation. That is how, as a lawmaker, we have to look at. And that is how every law that has been enacted as per the mandate of the Constitution, if we go by various ruling of the Honorable Supreme Court, we see that this integration while interpreting the provision of any provision in the Constitution is not taken in silo. It is all interconnected. Each and every fundamental right is again interconnected, Mr. Speaker, sir. That's the reason why we have always said it's a tightrope walking, and if we don't walk it with a proper balance, we can slip. That is the reason. We cannot take judiciary for granted, nor can anybody should take legislature for granted, nor can anybody take the parliament for granted, Mr. Speaker, sir. That is how, as lawmakers, we have to navigate through this very challenging terrain of taking decision and giving mandate through legislation and lawmaking. Mr. Speaker, sir, here why I'm saying there is a big but. While the court took cognizance of this issue, there was no space for the for the judiciary to intervene. If we would have defended whatever employment, whatever appointments were made in the past, as per the mandate of the policy. Now, I will only refer to one thing. Yeah,
This is a short duration discussion, so I think
it is. But then it is a very important topic, Mr. Speaker, sir. It is a topic which is confronting us. It is an issue. It is a matter which is confronting everybody. And we're going to have problem unless we show that the sensitivity to speak on this issue. In fact, I will request even the members from the August House, from the Treasury benches to speak. Yes, people want us to speak. And here, I would like to refer to this particular para of the resolution as per the notification, reference personal 222/71/138, the government of Meghalaya declared its reservation policy for reservation of posts in favor of ST and SC. According to the said policy, the following reservation, this is the notification dated 12th January 1972, which is also compiled and reflected in the expert committee report for reference. All the notifications have been duly incorporated, and there are so many annexes. In fact, it is not possible to complete exhaustive study of the whole report within this short period of time, though we have looked at only the recommendation, the operational part of the recommendation. But there are many other collaborated, closely related decisions of judiciary. Now here, the para 4 says, if sufficient number of suitable candidates for filling up the reserve vacancies is not available from the respective classes in any particular year, then such vacancies will be available to others. But the deficiency in the number of scheduled tribes and scheduled castes will be carried forward to the next recruitment year and made good in the recruitment of that year, provided, this proviso is very crucial, provided that the reservation on account of the deficiency shall not be carried forward for more than 1 year. That was there. That's why we did not carry beyond 1 year. The only problem was that even though we carried it forward to do good to the vacancy which was otherwise not filled up to by the applicants belonging to that particular category for which the reservation was meant for, what happened was that within 1 year, it could not be done. That is the only purpose. That is the only background of the reason. Because subsequently, because this proviso says that these shall not be carried forward for more than 1 year. So where is the deficiency in respect of the implementation of this reservation policy by the government? There is no deficiency. It should have been very effectively defended in the court. We have failed, Mr. Speaker, sir. There is no question of any backlog of this carried over, and this roster system is only for 1 year. It cannot be carried for more than 1 year, till now, because we have not amended this, even now. So where is the question of that backlog and the apprehension thereof? Mr. Speaker, sir, these things again is amended as per the clause 4B of the Article 16. It's amended based on that. Therefore, the Constitution does not say how many years the vacancy which otherwise cannot be filled up by the members belonging to that particular category for whom the reservation was meant for while filling up the vacancy. Therefore, the resolution is in sync with the mandate of the Constitution. Therefore, I say that wisdom actually, out of collective engagement of our forefathers, of the framers of this initial law, I must put on record my sincere appreciation for this wisdom, the collective wisdom. It's not a wisdom of an individual. Therefore, then another part, let us be little blunt and be realistic. Look at every result of the MCS, civil service exams. Look at. We must appreciate and take pride in the competence of our youth. Top that in order of merit, mostly by our youth from belonging to Khasi-Jaiñtia and Garo. That means what? That means we have children and youth who can compete with these non-tribals, and then you don't see any non-tribals in the MCS list. Do we see? Let us be frank and blunt. That means that 15%, which is open for everyone to appear for job with the sense of competence and the resolve to compete, we must commend the competence, the spirit of competitiveness of our youth for filling up that vacancy which is covered under that 15% open category. Every interview, whether it is in DSC, whether it is under MPSC, whether it is for civil service, whether it is even for corporate, I have one result of the MECL for recruitment of those technical manpower. All. We must really give the kind of accolades to the sense of competitiveness of our youth. Though we have the reservation, some of them are not depending on the reservation. They are competing and they are actually coming out with flying colors. Therefore, this particular so-called roster system is only for 1 year. There cannot be any backlog. This is the interpretation in as far as this provision is concerned. And collaborate with the clause, yes, 4B of the Article 16 of the Constitution of India, I would like to read. Nothing in this article shall prevent the state from considering any unfilled vacancies of a year which are reserved for being filled up in that year in accordance with any provision for reservation met under Clause 4 or Clause 4A. As a separate class of vacancies to be filled up in any succeeding year or years, and such class of vacancies shall not be considered together with the vacancies of the year in which they are being filled up for determining the ceiling of course here it is reference of 50%, reservation on total number of vacancies of that year. So the clause 4B of the Article 16 of the Constitution of India says that the vacancies in any succeeding year or years. It doesn't say years, it's a year. So based on that, probably the collective wisdom of our then leaders, our forefathers. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to urge through you, the government, we can have a continuous discussion and understand how to navigate through this challenging time. We know the aspirations of our youth. We know the aspirations today. These aspirational dreams to be part of the governance, because we have today highly educated youth. Why this issue becomes so sensitive and emotive is because we are also failing to create jobs. If there are abundance of spaces available for the job seekers, this issue will get diluted easily. Therefore, the government of the day, as I have been saying, let us look at all the vacancies and create more jobs. Yes, we talk about other jobs, self-employment, entrepreneurship, becoming an artist. Not everybody is going to be capable of doing that. So therefore, the job that should be created for all categories of people, all categories of those job aspirants, will definitely create an enabling environment to once again create that sense of sufficiency and infuse a sense of oneness and spirit of oneness. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think it is necessary for us to create that spirit of oneness with the whole spirit of empathy, love, compassion, and mutual trust and mutual respect. I thank the honorable member who have brought this important matter for discussion under this short duration notice. And I do agree that he, as a leader of this August House, one very important new political party, has appropriately taken up this issue. But there are also challenges, as I've said, as lawmakers, which we must comprehend and understand, because this kind of lawmaking is a tightrope walking. Yes, we have all the data and documents, including the interventions and observations of the judiciary. So with these few words, I would like to submit before the August House, through you, Mr. Speaker, sir, that the Honorable Chief Minister may again call all of us, have a discussion internally, and that is best done in the office chamber than in this August House. And we, I think, as leaders collectively can really lead our children and our grandchildren in the right direction as one family, children of one mother.
Habatin, pej Bhah ki kishap, kashap plus F.
Ka plus F?
Hakabam bangibam duna ki eki bataye kamet. Namar kata habathiru atau khau kamlu ka umpnyang kadut pej ya kashap plus F hakajingsom. Yaki nutrient kum ki vitamin bat ka iron la icon diat bat ka bathau bha kam Ktah I ka dur jing ki mar bam ka jing mat lani ka rukom shed yaki balehi banai kita ka don ka we ka jing mentoy ba kongsan ka kot ka khia ka nutrition ba kham bha ka jing im ba kham bha pendon kam daki mar bam modon ka sharp plus F menta ka sni
Lawan Ra Shafi Lingba ko office jong Commissionerate of Food Safety Meghalaya